Uh, I just woke up. Apparently today's my graduation, so I might as well make a video, right? So considering today's the day, I guess I graduate. Might as well just talk about some of the things I learned throughout the grades. Dang, I look kind of ugly, but anywho, yeah, some of the things I learned throughout the grades, especially some of the most important lessons I learned in each grade. I can say, yeah, it's been a long 4 years. Global pandemic in between, not really in between. Towards the end, that just kind of messed up the whole entire thing, but we still cool. Yay, trade school. But yeah, this is I guess I want to say autobiography of my last 4 years. Jeez. In ninth grade, right? I was pretty confident, so confident that you could call me cocky, and I would call myself cocky. I think that that year I had to learn the difference between cockiness and confidence. And although a subtle, simple lesson that a lot of people don't understand, it's actually hard to put in practice and learn and essentially use in your everyday life. Because if you're cocky, that's part of your nature. That's who you are. To get rid of that, extra pride and extra, self-indulgence at some point, takes a lot. Takes a lot. Um, yeah, I want to say ninth grade was one of those years where I just had to sometimes swallow a lot of pills and see the problem with me rather than other people. Now, Miss King was bugging. I will not lie. Miss King was bugging. But that day I got ISS, she was wilding. But I think there were a lot of times where I just sit down, really swallow the pill, and just understand the mistake that I made, and not see everybody as against me, but just like what I was doing and how I just made it seem like everybody was against me. And one of the greatest lessons I learned is that, you know, this isn't a video game, this isn't a movie, right? um, of course I'm going to see myself as the hero in the end because I saw all the seeds leading up to the part where it went bad, and I'm going to see it as someone done me wrong rather than what I did wrong beforehand. And I mean, we'll eventually get to that later in my fully realizing that. But I think that, you know I was just being very, very over confident. And I think it plays a lot of people. I think a lot of people still haven't learned that, adults rather. And so they go on living life expecting more from people to give to them because they think they're worth more than they really are, even though they haven't put out what they think they deserve, right? You can't, you know, expect a Benz and you're only making $30,000 a year, right? So you can't expect greatness of people. You can't expect people to be great to you if you don't display any sort of greatness, right? So I think that's one of the major things I learned in ninth grade. So 10th grade was a rather good year for me. But one of the largest mistakes I've ever made was actually transferring or trying to transfer to another school. And that's what I did successfully. And in hindsight, I look at it and I say that's one of the largest mistakes I've ever made. If this thing keeps rattling, I'm going to punch someone. But it's one of the largest mistakes I've ever made. And I say that because um, I think I tried to find more, right? I tried to find, a better situation, even though I was already in a good one. And I always say this, Paul Coffey is not a bad school. I just think it didn't have the tools or the options or the availability to help flourish some of my talents and abilities, right? Although they did try, right? They did, they knew I was a performer to some degree, so they'd let me host the quarter awards, right? It's not much, but it'll do, right? It's not this. That's the most they could give me because they had no theater teacher. They only had a music and an art teacher, and that on its own is, difficult enough for an average charter public school. That's relatively small, right? You know, so I don't blame them, and I actually think if I stayed there, I think I would have learned a lot more from teachers like Mr. Quirk and people like Mr. Thomas and Mr. Green. Although, you know, I can't say that all my experiences at the current school I'm at now and graduating from is bad. I don't. I just. I think Paul Coffey was the better situation. Feel me? I think that it, had more realistic people. I want to say. Um, I want to say most of the people at my school are extremists, whether they want to believe it or not. They are very extreme, whether at nature or in their beliefs. So, yeah, I just think Paul Coffey was like more down to earth and had more down to earth people. It was more fun overall. I'm gonna be honest with you. Every day, even though I might have not been happy there, I still had fun. The kids there, the people there, teachers there. They were not, yeah, they were all on my side. Not to say that my current school isn't. I just think the level of community within Paul Coffey, even though I think it's kind of overrated, it's very strong. I don't think that you know there's too much beef going on. Like in my school, I wouldn't say there's beef per se. I would say there's a more of, well, silent beef. Let's just say that. I don't like you, so I'm gonna talk about you behind your back. I didn't see too much of that in my old school. There was that, the occasional gossip girls, but at this school, there's more of, I don't like this person, and sometimes I'd indulge in that, and I started to pick up bad habits that they would bring to me, and I think that's why one of the reasons why I say I wish I just stayed at Paul Coffey, stayed where I was. Sometimes we try to move on quicker than life is moving, and we try to beat life at life, and I don't understand why we do that sometimes. I don't understand why I did it, although I do, appreciate some of the times and all that stuff I had at this school. I don't think it was the best situation for me personally. But yeah, that's 10th grade in a nutshell. So basically what happened was is I'm kind of like a few months late because I got lazy, but yeah, I should be posting here more often because better camera means better toys. So basically what I'm gonna do is recap 11th to 12th grade because I got lazy that day and decided not to. So essentially 11th grade, pretty simple. COVID happened. Um but what I ended up learning for the majority of that year is going to a new school, learning that depressed people actually exist. Like, uh, my new school, or school I went to, that I don't know how to explain this no more, but the school I went to, just the people there, or the students rather, a lot of them felt like they were depressed, and I don't know why. It seems like, I don't know. It seems like a lot of them had a lot going for them. They just decided not to, take advantage of that mentally, like to give themselves some sort of confidence they need, Maybe it's, where I'm from, like playing sports, for example, like being your body being made fun of is kind of like normal in sports. Like a bigger dude, a center, like would be considered slow. And so I take advantage of that, not because I'm trying to be mean or if I am mean, but just because it gives me the advantage. I'll use my speed and he'll use his strength, right? I'm smaller, so if a bigger dude is on, like, has the ball on offense, he'll back me down. It's that kind of idea, right? But I think they're not, because they're from an arts world or from a world where I feel like a lot is coddled. They're like, they've never grown outside of, everybody liking them. That idea. There we go. So when people do start to, say things about them, or they start to realize things about themselves, instead of taking advantage of their, upsides, they often look at their downside. Listen, I have speed and I jump high. I'm a skinny dude. I'm gonna use that on the basketball court any way I can. Now, I'm gonna use the little strength I do have to try to deal with anybody who's stronger than me, or use my speed, my vertical, to subdue that ability. That's how it works. But instead, they would think, oh, I'm too small, I can't play. That's their logic, right? If they're not right seen as like good enough, they won't try to work to overcome that, or you know what I mean. So that's 11th grade what I learned. 12th grade, pretty much the same, but just I learned to, I learned the idea of being yourself is weird, because although not inherently wrong, like the idea of it and the way it's explained and taught to us, I think we miss some parts out of it. Like, being yourself can be a detriment. Like, you have to know when to turn off the gas. Like, for example, I'm a funny dude. I like to joke, but I can't do that 24/7, and I don't. So, learning that, being yourself, but be yourself when it matters or when it makes sense, when it applies, right? Because sometimes you have to model yourself or shape yourself, or give a percentage of who you really are in certain situations. You don't have to, be yourself all the time, and not necessarily like be yourself, but just, show the depths of your personality. You can just sometimes be a normal person, right? There's nothing wrong with, doing the normal thing every once in a while. Like, but there's nothing wrong. Like, for example, give you a perfect example. I'm often an extrovert. There's nothing wrong with me taking a back seat in a certain situation. Like, sure, I like attention. Like, who doesn't? But I like attention. I like to be the life of the party, but in a specific kind of way. There's nothing wrong with me just sitting in the corner and just not saying anything. If people are already doing what I'm used to doing, sometimes it's, best to not be myself. It sure might not be comfortable, but it might not make sense trying to compete with someone or just do something where it just doesn't make sense. So being yourself is a good thing, but learn to just be normal. If you're used to not talking and you always not talk, but sometimes you have to raise your voice. Just be honest. That's life. Sometimes you have to shut up, right? I think we use introvert and extrovert as a way of, I do want to say, it's a way of like, it's an excuse for our behavior, right? Oh, why didn't you stand up for yourself? Well, I don't like talking, I'm just going to, sometimes you do have to speak up for yourself. Same thing for an extrovert. Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep, taking over? You keep interrupting. Why do you keep not just being a good person? Why can't you be some sort of respect? Well, that's how I am. I always like you can't use that's how I am as an excuse for your behavior, because that means you're not a good person. Like, let's be honest. So I think that's what I learned 12th grade. Yeah, but sorry for the several month delay. I will be posting on here more often. Hopefully, probably not, but maybe. Hopefully I do. New camera. Let me get him real close and. Oh yeah. But yeah, I'm probably gonna show some clips of like how I felt during the graduation. I didn't feel good, be honest. It didn't make sense to me. I think we gotta stop putting exclamation points on the bare minimum. I barely passed high school, and yet for some reason it's a spectacle that I graduate. Like, you're supposed to you're supposed to grad. That's what I'm supposed to do. Why are you acknowledging, that I did something great? Sure, There's people that don't. But those people couldn't meet the bare minimum. All you had to do is just pass. Maybe do some other stuff, but for the most part, just pass. That's all you have to do. And yet somehow I'm being congratulating for just passing. Sure, there's kids that go way above and beyond, but I will tell you this. Those kids didn't have as much fun as they should, and I'll tell you why. There's no need to slave away when we're all going to the same destination. It's like someone who works so hard at their job, but they're not getting a promotion, or they're working at a job. Say, for example, you're a plumber, and you work as hard as you can possibly, right? You work all the time, as much as you can all the time, but your promotion only depends on what level plumber you are, and maybe how hard you work, right? So a few years from now, that's when your real promotion begins, right? Your real pay increase begins, right? But you're working for the maybe, right? So I think it's just working. I get the idea, work hard in high school so you benefit more. And I agree with that wholeheartedly, because as someone who didn't do too well in high school, I wish I did better, slightly better, so that I can maybe go to have the options to go to college. I probably still wouldn't have, but the option is intriguing. The ability to do something because I don't have to do something. Like, I don't have to go to college versus I can't. You see the difference? That just opens up more doors for you, more possibilities. So if I did end up wanting to go to college at some point, I could have, right? I don't think college is for me. I don't think college is for everybody. I think college is for a lot of people. I do, and I think most people should go to college because that makes the most sense for them. A lot of the careers they try to pursue, I'm going into the trade career. Hopefully I could do something like this for a living, but yeah. But I'll end up showing you guys clips because I've been talking way too much. Yeah, way too much. But that's essentially my end of the bargain. So I'm going to show you guys the clips. I will probably post here within the next couple weeks. No promises, but I will try. If you're in the comments, most people aren't going to watch this. Probably only going to be like 10 viewers. But if you just try to hold me to that, I do want to make content. I do need to make content because I would like to do something like this for a life. I just need ideas and things I don't know, wish and inspired to do. But like I said, yeah, I'll show you some clips of, how I was feeling during the graduation, as well as me getting my diploma, like my whatever you want to call it, that paper. But yeah, so if you're still watching, probably not. Thank you for watching. Share, like, subscribe, do what all those other YouTubers tell you to do. Yeah, I'm not your mom, so yeah, do what you want. Peace. I think. Yeah, I'm getting hungry. Like, bro, I'm standing here and just like thinking, all these people, and it's like, I don't know. I don't really know them. I'm just graduating with a bunch of people I don't know. Even the ones I call my friends. Do I really know them? It's almost like I don't belong. And it's a weird feeling. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, what is going on? Like, I have no idea what's happening right now. A bunch of people are communicating with their friends, and I'm just like standing.
over here, like helplessly, and just, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's not a sense of not wanted, it's just a sense of like not belonging. And it's fine, it's just weird. It's because, I think we try to make our whole lives of us fitting in, right? It's like clothes, right? We buy a pair of clothes and we try to make them fit in, knowing that we won't fit in them. And I think I'm gonna stop trying to fit in and just wear the clothes I was meant to wear, if you get what I'm saying.
Darius Lamont Henderson Jr.